What is up, everybody? Mr. Curtis here, dropping some knowledge for you on part 2 of the Enlightenment. The last part of the Enlightenment was really just kind of our intro of what the Enlightenment was about, and that's about questioning these absolute monarch governments and what is the best type of government. We talked about Hobbes. We talked believing people are selfish, wicked, and evil. We talked about Locke, thinking we could improve ourselves, and then some of these concepts of social contract and laws of nature or natural rights. Today we're going to get into some of the more specific individuals of the Enlightenment. I just want to start with this first guy. His name is Baron de Montesquieu. It's a French name. It's hard to spell. Never worry about spelling things correctly. It's always nice if you can, but I just ask that you be close. So his name is Montesquieu. And Montesquieu writes that there should be 3 branches of government. Because if we don't have 3 branches of government, and if we only have 1 branch of government, that one branch could become too powerful. And if one branch of government becomes too powerful, it becomes an absolute monarch. So he said that we should have 3 equal branches that can check the power of each other and make sure that all 3 branches are balanced with each other. So the 3 branches that he writes about and 3 branches that are going to be incorporated into the United States government. One is the legislative branch. They are expected to make laws. This would be our Congress in the United States, the House of Representatives and the Senate. We have the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court and all courts in the United States, which are supposed to judge laws and judge people. And then third, we have the executive branch, which would be made up of the president and the president's cabinet, and they are supposed to enforce laws. All of these branches are equal. No branch is more important or is supposed to be more important or significant than the other, and each branch can check the power of the others to make sure they aren't getting too powerful. Besides Montesquieu, we have another guy named Jean-Jacques Rousseau, also a French name. Rousseau is how you pronounce this. He wrote about the general will, and that basically and what that means is the majority of people always act in the best interest of our country. And that people are naturally good. Deep down, all of us are good inside. And what has made us evil at some point is because of society. Because society, the world around us, has corrupted us. And really what makes people most corrupt is what he writes about, which is the unequal distribution of wealth, which is say that with me, unequal distribution of wealth. Basically that the wealth in countries are unequally distributed. So some people have a lot of money. Some people don't have enough money. And when you don't have enough money, that is the time when you are corrupted by society because you have to, in his mind, commit crimes or do things that most would consider illegal. So this unequal distribution of wealth makes some people really rich and they love what's going on, and some people really poor and they don't like what's going on. But generally, he says the general will, which is his big phrase, that the majority of people act in the best interest, which is in a democracy with elections. He said you would expect the majority of people to vote in what is in the best interest of the country, not just what's in the best interest for themselves. Another person we have here, there is one Enlightenment woman thinker. Yay to the females. Unfortunately for this woman, Mary Wollstonecraft, she is pretty much going to be laughed out of every room. This is a patriarchal, male-dominated society. The Enlightenment is male-dominated. Mary Wollstonecraft is kind of like, hey, yo, you're forgetting about 50% of the population here. You're talking about man and male, and you're forgetting about women. She is one of our original kind of feminist writers, a woman who is going to say, we need to include the women in this. When you write these constitutions, you need to give women equal rights. We need equal education for women. We can't just have women raising children, and some women maybe want to become nurses or teachers, and these women should have the ability to get an education, which is a huge deal at the time. Today you might be like, of course, but back then it was a big deal. So she's going to kind of focus on women's rights. Another person who kind of uses these Enlightenment ideas, this is William Wilberforce. He is from England. And he says, we're talking about natural rights and equal rights, but don't forget we have slavery going on. And that's not natural, according to Wilberforce, and I would imagine according to almost everyone in the world today. But in 1780s, the slave trade and slavery is at its peak. And he is a member of parliament in England, and he says we need to abolish or get rid of slavery. And what this movement is called is the abolitionist movement. And he's going to push, using these Enlightenment ideas, to push to end slavery. So some of these Enlightenment thinkers are going to try and and slavery. We have women's rights. And then one other thing is we do have some monarchs who kind of take on this Enlightenment idea. And we call these people kind of enlightened monarchs. And another term you might see is enlightened despots. And one person here is Catherine the Great. She is part of the family tree with Peter the Great. And anytime you see the Great, it means they did some pretty good stuff. You wouldn't expect any absolute monarch to be down with this stuff. I mean, we're talking about taking away their power, separation of powers and different branches and giving people freedoms. She's one of these few kind of enlightened people, or these enlightened monarchs, who are going to use some Enlightenment ideas. She does read it. She hangs out with some Enlightenment thinkers. One guy's name is Voltaire. They wrote letters back and forth to each other. At one point, it seemed like they were love letters. Here's kind of the trick to this. She does include some Enlightenment ideas. Some, for example, she writes, they have a code of laws that are written down. She allows equal access to education. But when push comes to shove, Catherine the Great and all these other absolute monarchs, no matter how much they say they like the Enlightenment, are not going to lose their power. Because if you have all the power in the world, why in the heck would you want to give some of it up? So Catherine the Great, we call her the enlightened monarch because she is going to help expand some ideas. Also, one other thing about Catherine the Great, we talked in the video about absolute monarchs that Russia is always looking for warm water ports. Catherine the Great continues this expansion, and she expands all the way out into these yellow areas. You will notice they are all by warm water ports in Russia. Don't forget it. And she's going to try and expand up here, down here into the Caspian Sea, over into Asia as well. So here's kind of the wrap up. Why the heck should you care about the Enlightenment? Two things. One, it is going to inspire revolutions, and those revolutions we will talk about in the next unit. The French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, Latin American revolutions. Also, these Enlightenment ideas that these people talk about are the foundation of many governments today. And what these writers wrote about are going to be hugely important, and you're going to see them in almost every single government structure in the world today. So really, that's why you need to care about this. Try and care about this. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this, kind of a shorter video today. Always a good thing. If you have any questions, write them down. As always, you should be taking notes. But come into class with your questions, ask away. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a good day. Until next time.